I'd like to start by commemorating and honoring Aaron Bushnell. And I'd like to read a poem. This is Sonnet 55. Not marble nor the gilded monuments of princes shall outlive this powerful rhyme, but you shall shine more bright in these contents than unswept stone besmeared with sluttish time. When wasteful war shall statues overturn and broils root out the work of masonry, nor Mars his sword, nor war's quick fire shall burn the living record of your memory. Against death and all oblivious enmity shall you pace forth. Your praise shall still find room even in the eyes of all posterity that wear this world out to the ending doom. So till the judgment that yourself arise, you live in this and dwell in lovers' eyes. You know, this is a man who is my age, 25 years old. I'm 25 years old. I can only legally rent a car at this age, and also I can run for Congress at this age. And this man at his age decided that he wanted to give his life for his country. He was prepared to lay down his life for you if it became necessary. And it got to the point where he said, I can't in good conscience continue to propitiate this genocide. I'm being ordered to be in the air in Gaza, and I cannot commit the crime of genocide. And he believed he couldn't get his word out there without doing something extreme like lighting himself on fire. So what then is our responsibility to make sure that his death is not in vain? It requires us to have a living alternative, to provide a living alternative and a living solution. We will mourn Aaron Bushnell and we will remember him because he became a literal beacon that something is wrong in the world, that the same military he committed himself to be that patriotic and say, I cannot support what is being done. So now what is that living alternative and what am I doing here all the way from New York City? I'm very proud and honored to have been invited to come out all the way to Detroit here after this historic uncommitted vote that sends a very clear message, not to Biden or Trump or RFK, not even to the American government, to the world, that the citizenry of the United States does not support genocide. Now, my campaign is not centered around trying to win or trying to get votes, right? I'm not the suit and tie wearing type, but I figured coming to a place like this with so much history and honor, it deserves that respect. And so I put on a suit minus the tie. And I'm very happy to see other people here with curly hair like mine. I come from the Bronx, which is the poorest congressional district in the entire country, whose congressman mentions Israel 236% more times than he does the Bronx. This is the real, that's not hyperbole, that's not exaggeration. This was like a real number, right? 236% more times he talks about Israel instead of the Bronx. So that's Richie Torres. I'm running against Richie Torres, who himself proclaims himself to be the champion of Israel. Now, so what am I doing then running for Congress? What am I doing then going from interventionist and activist to becoming a candidate for Congress? I think a lot of you have probably gotten the sticker. I hope there was enough. Did you guys get the sticker? You did. Okay. So I need to look at it myself. So ignore the caption for a second. This is an image that was taken from Temple Emmanuel. Temple Emmanuel is a very large synagogue in New York City. I think it is the largest synagogue in New York City. And Rachel Maddow was there October 18th, 11 days after October 7th, to promote some stupid book that she was talking about. And she was dancing around the issue of what was going on in Gaza at the time. And first of all, I wasn't just going to listen to her talk. I mean, she's boring, but nobody there wanted to mention the fact that there was an ethnic cleansing happening. In this house of worship, in this sacred house of worship, you should always be allowed to speak the truth. And nobody wanted to speak the truth in there that day. And so when she started to read her book, I stood up and I said, there is an ethnic cleansing in Gaza, and you and the rest of the media are warmongers in this. And then I was pulled down to the ground, but I just kept repeating that truth. There is an ethnic cleansing in Gaza, and you are complicit. And what's this image is that people are silent, except me. And my hand is sticking up, and I am speaking the truth. So even though they dragged me to the ground and had to wheelbarrow me out of there, people can find this clip. Even though that happened, that video got millions and millions of views within the pro-Palestinian, pro-Gaza circles, and it was translated into Arabic and Russian and other languages, apart from the many others that I have done before. And so I kind of decided to challenge myself, like, okay, well, these interventions that I've done, as Anastasia said, they've gotten millions of views, and they've gotten translated into 7, 8 different languages. They've gotten international recognition, right? Now I need to take the next step, and I need to hold not even just my congressman, because Richie Torres is a puppet. Just like most of your congressmen, they are not real people. These are just people who are told what to say and what to do. You are fighting against speculative lobbyists. You're fighting against special interest group. You are fighting against a pro-war faction in the world that believes that there are too many people on this planet. And we need to get rid of them the way they do it in Gaza. They do it here in Detroit. They do it in the Bronx. They do it in Oakland. They do it in every poor place that you can mention in the United States. It's the same policy. You just don't see it as obviously as it's happening in Gaza because there's missiles raining down every day, but it is the same policy. And so what I'm doing here is to recruit people who want to tell that truth. Because that is the same policy. Yes, thank you, Pastor Smith. And actually, these Western countries, these Western imperialist countries believe in something called the rule of law, right? That the rule of law gives us the right to do X and Y. It gives us the right to bomb Gaza. It gives us the right to kill women and children in pursuit of some terrorists that we made up and we funded and we started, right? That is the rule of law. But maybe Pastor Smith should give sermons on the verses that Paul gave to Corinthians. O grave, where is thy victory? O death, where is thy sting? For the sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the rule of law. Now, the verse doesn't say rule of law, it just says law, but I added rule because it's the same thing. These people who live these sinful lives, who say that because the rule of law says so. But I think many people here are familiar with what Dr. King had said, that a just law is that which is a man-made code that squares with the moral law of God. And a just law is that which uplifts the human spirit. And any law that degrades the human soul is unjust. And therefore, you have a right to break that law. Just like you have a right to break the social contract where you are in, no matter where you are. If there is somebody lying in your face, you have the right to break the silence and look at that person in the face and say, you are telling a lie, and I am going to tell the truth. Who is prepared to do that? What are you prepared to do? Are you prepared to defy the silence by standing up for truth? That's what I'm here doing. I'm recruiting them in the Bronx. I'm recruiting them here in Michigan. And I'm recruiting them around the world because the interventions have taken off, far exceeding anything me and my friends could do. Now, there are so many, like Hillary Clinton can't walk outside without getting yelled at. Nancy Pelosi, same thing. These people are calling them for what they are, warmongers. And then in Berlin, in Germany, the other day, Hillary Clinton was invited to speak at this place called the Cinema of Peace. And she was there to speak about women's rights. And then 9 people stood up and all said, women's rights? Okay, what about the women of Gaza who are being bombed to death? Don't they have a right to not live under hellfire rain every day? So, I mean, there's just so many happening now, and they need to keep happening, and they need to escalate even further. Nobody should be allowed to step outside and tell lies anymore. So my campaign is building a world where the truth tellers are the ones in power and the liars are where Julian Assange is right now. I'd like to end by telling you something that happened back in 1963 in Birmingham at the 16th Street Baptist Church. That's where 2,000 young people were gathered in what became known as the Children's March. That was the march where water hoses, attack dogs, and paddy wagons were used. It was the most effective action of the movement after the original bus boycott of 1955. People as young as 9 and 10 years old were doing an active conscience, standing up against what was the rule of law in Birmingham at that time. If 2,000 young people gathered at this church now, at this time, and made it clear that they reject any reason given for the killing of innocent people in Gaza, regardless of who gives it, regardless of whatever cause is said to be justified by it, then they will provide these young people with a sanctuary for people like Aaron Bushnell. The church is not a building. The church is the people that walk in the spirit of justice and truth. The people are the sanctuary. And that's why we are happy and proud to be here in this church where the very walls echo the cry of justice we are hearing coming from Gaza. So tell the truth, defy the silence, be a truth teller. Thank you.